things that I do think would be interesting for us to hear other perspectives on tonight is the discussion about setting up some type of animosity or some type of power struggle between Governor Pence and the House Republicans. Mary Beth's nodding over there, but I think, Mary Beth, you're the one that always has said that the most powerful person in the House during session is the Speaker, not the Governor. And so one of my questions, I guess, for everyone, and I would love to hear what everybody says, not to take your job, Raphael, is Governor Pence put out some proposals tonight that are somewhat contrary to what the House Republicans have proposed, especially as it relates to infrastructure and regional cities. So I'm just curious.
Laura, let me address your point. Your question.
Thank you, Robert.
Would you please?
And you look resplendent.
Because I was in Canada, not on cannabis. So now that I'm off my cannabis, I'm back from Canada. Could you respond to that?
Well, the Speaker does have enormous power, and he has the ability to make things happen. We all know that. But the Governor has a lot of power, too. His commitment to not raising taxes, and in most cases cutting taxes, is pretty well known. And quite frankly, on this issue, I think the Governor's 100% on the money. You don't be tight with your budgets, and you don't accumulate a reserve that is bountiful, that leads to AAA credit ratings, so that you can then raise taxes. And so the Governor's made it clear where he stands, and I don't see him budging, but that's just me guessing.
But talk about this issue that Laura brought up, that there may be a split between the Governor and then his own party. Is that just liberal talk, or is that fantasy land, or is there
What's the difference?
Who are you calling a liberal?
That was...
What are you talking about?
Is there any truth to that? Is there any kind of break between, or any kind of disagreement between this strong majority, both in the House and the Senate, and the Governor?
Well, clearly there is.
I have never heard in any conversation I've ever had with the Governor, and been present in any conversation in which the Governor's been present, where he has ever said anything but good things about Brian Bosma, ever. Is there some tension because of two significant, powerful men, powerful positions? I'm sure there is. Brian Bosma's his own man. So's David Long. So's Mike Pence. So's Pat Bauer. So was Frank O'Bannon. These sorts of things happen, but they've worked together so many times on so many strong issues, which has led to all the great things that are happening in the state.
He's filibustering. There is a difference, obviously. I mean, the Governor made a statement tonight about what he will do on infrastructure, and Bosma came out with something different that raises taxes. Those are two pretty big differences right there. One guy says no tax increase.
Wait a second,
the other guy says tax increase.
I understand that, but just because there's a policy difference doesn't mean there's a rift. Those are two entirely different things.
And Abdul, just because you have a supermajority both in the House and the Senate does not mean you get everything you
trust me,
want.
if I had a supermajority, I'd have Sunday sales right now, okay?
and cannabis.
And cannabis if I had my respective supermajorities. But once again, it's a family discussion, and different people have different ideas on how to pay for Indiana's roads, Indiana's infrastructure. And at the end of the day, they will come together with a very viable, workable solution. Something that is, not to get all too partisan here, that is a lot more responsible than what my House Democratic friends offered, which was, let's go ahead and just shift all the sales tax on gasoline to pay for roads and blow a $330 million hole in the budget. Not talk about how to pay for state police, not talk about how to pay for...
I'll agree with him on this point. It's a family. It's a very dysfunctional family is what it is.
So what
and
about
you look
the
at the national
Democrats?
scene,
They just
you look
tried
at the
to
national
Maggie
scene,
Lewis.
You look at the national scene and you look at the state scene, you've got a dysfunctional Republican Party. I don't think there are too many people that disagree with that.
And Tony Katz, will the Democrats be able to capitalize if, in fact, there is any dysfunction?
Oh, I reject the premise of the statement. Kip's absolutely wrong, and I'm not about to engage that.
And that's that.
That's that. The idea that Kip will decide that there's some dysfunction in the family until he sits at that table, he can't tell me what's going on in that family, so I'm not about to engage the idea that all of a sudden there's dysfunction in the family. It's a nonsense conversation. It's a partisan conversation, and Indiana's looking for some solutions. I think Abdul's right when he talks about what's going on with infrastructure. Infrastructure wasn't an issue until the Wildcat Creek Bridge, and all of a sudden it's the most important subject in the world. It is an important subject, but Pence isn't responsible for a couple of contractors who can't figure out how to not make a road sink. So that's not the story, and we've blown it up into a thing. John Gregg has blown it up into a thing, making it a center point, a part of his campaign, when we all know that that's not the case. We've proven that's not the case.
So I think what you're saying is everybody's responding to John Gregg's leadership is what's happening here. I mean, that's essentially what you just admitted.
I don't even know where he is.
You just admitted
you're reaching.
He's already.
Pull a muscle. Good gosh, Kevin.
You said John Gregg's making an issue of it, and now the legislature's now responding, and so is the governor. So apparently John Gregg's the leader in this state, right?
That's
Already.
absolutely not true. But hey, best of luck to him in trying.
And
We
if
do
you didn't
have
vote
the,
for major moves, you really shouldn't really talk about transportation.
We do
folks.
have